Activision is calling for a Call of Duty full premium game release in the year 2023.
Fake news.
No, seriously. It's been leaked, but then confirmed that it's gonna be a Modern Warfare 3 game.
Wrong.
No, I'm being for real. Like, they honestly said it was gonna be the end of the yearly COD cycle, starting with MW2, which was supposed to be the first 2-year game cycle, and that Sledgehammer Games was working on a DLC that has now, for whatever reason, decided to become a fully fledged Call of Duty title coming to us in 2023. Now, only to find out exactly why they'd go back on their word and return to the yearly release cycle. What could possibly motivate that?
Billions and 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 billions.
What's up, what's good, YouTube? Hope all is well, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Hapa, and if you guys like that intro, make sure you guys stick around to the end for a preview of a Rumble exclusive video that I'm gonna be releasing over on my Rumble page in the near future, but you won't find it here on YouTube. Links down in the description. Also, if you haven't heard, even though we were told we were not getting a new Call of Duty game in the year 2023, it has now been leaked that not only is Activision planning on releasing a fully fledged Call of Duty game in the year of 2023, but they're letting the worst fucking dev studio in the history of Call of Duty produce it. Sledgehammer. What am I talking about? I'm sure it'll be a masterpiece.
You have a very, very hard time convincing people that...
Now, according to Insider Gaming, what is now in production as a fully fledged Call of Duty installment started as premium DLC content for Modern Warfare 2, due to be released later on this year. But due to reasons that I'll explain later, Activision has decided to change that project's direction, to that of an 80 or, probably gonna be $90 in this case, fully fledged premium game.
Sounds good, doesn't work.
Because let's face it, Activision is entirely too greedy to go a full calendar year without dropping a base game and then, plugging in recycled content from previous COD titles. At $80 per pop's too sweet.
Money, I want more money.
I mean, literally for me, the only saving grace, literally the only silver lining in the whole thing is that it happens to be a Modern Warfare 3 game. And I know, this is strictly personal belief and not really a popular opinion, but Modern Warfare 3 happened to be one of my favorite Call of Duty titles. But with that being said, it's actually pretty sad that we've come to this point where some of us are just praying for an opportunity to repurchase a game that we purchased 12 years ago, and that takes precedent over trying to get excited for them trying something fresh and new. Because let's be honest, every attempt at fresh and new that these jerk-offs have tried recently has fallen flat on its face, to say the least.
I think it's a disgrace.
Resulting in half-finished betas that, they're trying to push off as fully completed products, only to see the sales flatline a few weeks in, and then having all that promised support and fixes to quality of life issues go right on out the freaking window.
It was all bullshit.
Simply because the Call of Duty community is full of morons and idiots.
You are a rude, terrible person
that think somehow they're missing out on some grand social experience if they can't load up into whatever polished dog turd Activision's currently peddling. Simply put, it's sad to say that I'd rather pay $80 for a remastered version of a 12-year-old product, more so than I would be to see what kind of creative genius they're working with over there at Sledgehammer. I mean, I'm old enough to remember when Modern Warfare 3 dropped. I mean, listen to me, I know I'm gonna sound like an old boomer, like, back when I was your age, we couldn't even download video games. Had to stand in the front line in front of thousands of people for hours and hours on end until the clock struck midnight. And then the chaos ensued. Remember the old days when GameStop was actually a place you wanted to find yourself? I remember I pulled off work for a week and a half, I think. I definitely wasn't going back on the clock until I maxed out my prestige. But listen, that's not the point. Or maybe it is. Maybe the difference between now and then is just the sheer enjoyment, the fun that we used to have. The experience of it all. I don't know about you guys, but myself personally, I can actually remember being somewhat sad at the end of a COD game's life cycle. come November. Because 11 months into those games, I was actually still thoroughly enjoying the game, as were many people. Whereas today, it feels like we're buying the equivalent of a beta, and it takes more than half the game's life cycle to even get a first attempt at a fix for what some of us consider game-breaking issues. So forgive me for being so critical of those that, kept this franchise afloat, when in all actuality, I honestly don't think Activision will ever let it die. But if you don't stop feeding the monster soon, they're never gonna be able to tame that motherfucker and give us the changes that we demand. I mean, you can't demand much from somebody when you're simultaneously handing them wads of cash. Which brings us to today. 4 long months. 4 long months. And then some. Did they fix the game completely with this last update? They had more than 1/3 of a year. That's 1/3 of a game's development cycle. Is Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2, is it flawless now? Yeah, I didn't think so. So maybe, I don't know, maybe the thing that we're trying to tell you as a community is focus on that DLC that you're making a premium game. Don't just take all the planned content you had from this game and throw it on over to the new one. Because deep down in my heart, I know that's what you guys are gonna do. But I'm still gonna plead to you, please, for the love of God, do not let yourself repeat the mistakes of what this current Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 Warzone 2
is a complete and total disaster.
Don't let it happen. From a business standpoint, I understand. You'd be crazy not to redirect and go back and just take all the content out of this MW2 game and put it into MW3, because like we said before, the community's full of idiots. They're going to buy it anyways.
I don't really care about offending people.
Because what you've created with Warzone is more akin to a drug than it is a game. Meaning that those with the eyes and the ears and all of us hearing the grumblings and complaints all over the internet from casuals and professionals alike, and not much at all that hasn't been paid for to be said good, is actually being said nicely about Modern Warfare 2. In fact, people you'd never think would turn their back on the franchise are letting their feelings being known that they're pissed. They're tired of getting played year after year with the same recycled content, the same piss poor performance and attention to detail, and just overall passion that they're putting into Call of Duty these days. I mean, hell, they call scum to retire. And yeah, I know a lot of their decisions have led to the decreasing and declining active player counts, but the ones that do remain are the whales. Activision's cash cows. Those players that suffer from extreme cases of fear of missing out. No, seriously, it's a real thing, and it's super prevalent within the Warzone community, where they end up, due to this fear of missing out, end up buying everything, every little piece of content within the game, regardless of whether or not it's something that they've purchased in a prior COD installment and it's just been recolored, regardless of whether or not they actually like what they're spending their money on. And you're delusional if you think the quality of the content being released recently, like the battle pass and the new maps and even the skins, are even good. I mean, hell, these aren't real new maps. They're literally just giving us reskinned versions of maps that we've had for years. Like, how many times are you guys gonna sell us Dome? At this point, you guys should just add a version of Dome or Nuketown, depending on the developer studio working on the game, to every COD title. While you're at it, make Shoot House and Shipment its own standalone game for every future title. Because literally the only thing that people are using their $80 multiplayer purchase for is to level their guns up faster for Warzone, which we all know Warzone, no, that's where the money's at. Makes you wonder if this is the reason they removed plunder, because it was used by, financially conservative players that, in lieu of shelling out $80 for a piss poor multiplayer experience, decided they were going to use plunder to level their guns up faster. I mean, I know, of course, there are players that still belong to communities focused on multiplayer, like Search and Destroy and the COD wager and competitive scene. But the sooner that they realize that they're the last customers Activision's going to be taking into consideration moving on into the future, the sooner they can start making the type of noise that the rest of us are trying to make. And God willing, we can all prevent this franchise that we all love from dying.
You can't do that.
And I mean, don't get it twisted. Just because we're critical of Call of Duty and Activision and their dev studios, it's because of our history and the love that we found many years ago. If you're in your 20s or younger right now and you're watching this video, thanks to folks like me and others is actually in order, because we're the founders of this community. We started this COD hype 20 plus years ago, before Warzone, before Plunder, before DMZ, before Rebirth, before slide canceling. Back when it was 6v6, you took your licks. If you got shit on, your only escape was to back out of that lobby and hope to God you waited long enough before requeuing so it doesn't throw you right back into the lion's den. And you got to hear the dogs barking about how much dog shit you are. Oh, that's right. We used actual curse words, not some socially acceptable appropriate phrases. I mean, we definitely didn't sugarcoat our trash talk like these little fragile kids want you to do to each other these days. Your dog water, kid. Okay. Well, little Timmy, let me tell you about your mom's stench. Smells like a homeless crawled up in that and died. Got me all trapped in her giant should have been a oh, sorry. Old school COD pregame lobby flashbacks. And if you guys want to see the uncensored version of that, make sure you're subscribed to my Rumble page. Links down in the description. But really, you want to know why we were told that there was going to be a 2-year life cycle going into Modern Warfare 2? We wouldn't see another Call of Duty game for 2 whole years? Because it was planned, relying on players and their fear of missing out. In fact, I honestly think that was a plan from the get-go. They're just going to convert this premium DLC, which it would have been premium DLC if Modern Warfare 2 was healthy, but it's not, so now it becomes a full game. You know how they're going to make that transition seamless? By bleeding Modern Warfare 2, something that you've already purchased, of its planned content, and just go on and toss it in the new MW3 game. Even the article from Insider Gaming mentions a lot about remastered content. So there's your clue.
Yeah, I've got a raging clue right now.
They knew that more sales of a poor quality game were to be made if they told the players that they weren't going to get another game for 2 years. In fact, with this latest game being so bad, a lot of us thought that this was going to be the death of the franchise, considering, you know, it's going on 4 months and we just now had the first attempt at the simplest quality of life changes addressed. We can safely assume that the time of us, the player, enjoying a full-on, decent, fully functional COD experience is being limited day by day, as we don't get the support that we need to be able to enjoy this game. And because of that, you're seeing inevitably a massive drop in players, and I guarantee they saw it coming too. This is why we're getting a 2023 full premium release. It's almost like COD didn't even make record profits again. They did. Just wish they had realized that we all aren't stupid. Not all of us.
We have people that are stupid.
Maybe then they would have focused on fixing the products, in which we all already paid for. But when 90% of the community, the people who paid for the game, are bitching and whining about everything under the sun, from poor optimization to a lack of skill gap to manipulated gunfights to the matchmaking, all the way up to and including recycled lack of content. Oh, and don't even get me started on the cheating. EO just came back to the market, if you guys weren't aware. We just did a video on it. It's right up there. You can go check that out. But the second these people close this Twitter app after bitching about how bad the game is, they load up the game and they're presented with the new, aka recycled content. And what do? That's right. They reach for their wallets.
Ridiculous bullshit.
And that's when you begin to realize what they're selling you, it's not a game. It's a fix for your addictions. But I guess with any drug addict, we've yet to learn, we're gonna have to hit rock bottom before we realize the need for drastic behavioral changes. Stop spending your money on the game. You're not missing anything. In fact, if you do miss anything, don't worry. It'll be recolored and recycled in a very new future Call of Duty game, which is, regardless of whatever they tell you, always only 12 months away. Don't think I'm talking to you? Well, then ask yourself if French novelist Gustave Flaubert was talking to you when he once famously said, to be stupid, selfish, and have good health are the 3 requirements for happiness. So if stupidity is lacking, all is lost.
That's who would you rather in office?
Someone that doesn't have vascular dementia.
What must be what? What must be what? What must be what?
So there's no one in particular.
DeSantis, Trump. Jim Jordan would be my favorite, but he's not running for our office.
You said Trump?
Either or. I mean.
Oh, GG.
Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic.
Catch you guys on the next one. Mahalo.